In 1988, an atom bomb destroys Tokyo, but 31 years later in 2019, Neo-Tokyo has emerged as a dilapidated city rife with violence and despair. In a seedy part of town, a man visits a bar where the bartender, Yosuke Akamoto, peddles drugs to a customer while the TV broadcasts the day's news. Due to unemployment and a struggling economy, the populace is restless. Kaneda, the leader of the Capsule's biker gang, arrives in a red biker suit and gathers some friends from a back room, announcing their intention to confront their rival gang, the Clowns, on Route 5. Meanwhile, Tetsuo, a young teenager, admires a red motorcycle with special technical features outside the bar. Kaneda taunts Tetsuo, insisting that he lacks the necessary skills to operate the bike, which belongs to Kaneda. The Bosozoku gang sets off into the night. When they reach the designated area, they engage in a high-speed chase through the skyscraper district, causing damage to nearby cars and buildings. The Clowns are knocked off their bikes, and Tetsuo wipes out during the skirmish, leaving him stranded as the police arrive and the gangs disperse. A wounded man, accompanied by a short, green-skinned figure, wanders through the streets at night. He shoots and kills two dogs that were pursuing them. Eventually, the man is stopped by the police near a group of rioting protesters and is fatally shot in the chaos. The little green figure cries out in terror as a building begins to collapse. The crowd scatters, and a mustached man and his companion, a young woman named Kei, are separated. Meanwhile, Kaneda's gang continues their pursuit of the Clowns. Tetsuo, on his own, chases a clown and they soon arrive at a scene where the police are struggling to control the rioters with water cannons and tear gas. Tetsuo approaches a clown wearing a Red Cross logo as the rider falls. Tetsuo violently strikes the downed man's head before looking up to see a green-skinned figure blocking his path. A collision occurs, resulting in an explosion. Upon arrival, Kaneda and the rest of the gang find Tetsuo barely conscious in the street while the green person walks away unharmed. Shortly after, a second green-skinned person arrives in a hovering chair, using a child's voice to summon the other person and warning that there is no escape. The Capsule's gang is forced to the ground by an armed paramilitary group as a tall man with a military-style haircut emerges from a helicopter. Colonel Shikishima sends Tetsuo to the hospital and has Kaneda and his gang taken into custody before leaving in the helicopter with the two green children. While being interrogated at the police station, Kaneda and his gang pretend to be innocent. But they come up with an excuse that they were visiting a dying relative and got attacked by the Clowns. The police verify their story and place them on a bench with other street riot suspects for further questioning. Kaneda spots Kei among the group of suspects. Suddenly, a radical member of the Freedom Revolution goes berserk and tries to detonate a grenade in the station, hoping to kill himself and the police officers. However, the grenade turns out to be defective, and the nearby police subdue him. Later, the officers inform the Capsule's gang that they have verified their alibi with their school, and they are released from custody. Kaneda seizes the opportunity to free Kei by claiming that she is part of their group. Unbeknownst to him, Kei is actually a member of a terrorist organization, but she playfully taunts him for trying to hit on her before slipping away. Still unaware of her name, Kaneda yells out to her, just as an explosion rocks the police station. As Tetsuo undergoes a full-body scan at the hospital, Dr. Onishi supervises his condition and makes a startling discovery. Onishi contacts Shikishima, who is in a meeting with a politician discussing the possibility of a traitor on the executive council. When Shikishima arrives at the hospital, Onishi informs him that Tetsuo has psychic abilities similar to Akira, the young esper who caused the catastrophic destruction of Tokyo 31 years ago. The Project Akira was initiated by a secret government laboratory run by a dissident terrorist group, but an error in the growth pattern caused problems. Onishi believes that Tetsuo may hold the key to solving this issue. However, Shikishima is worried about Tetsuo's immense power, and after receiving a prophecy from Kyoko, an esper who predicts the destruction of Neo-Tokyo, he instructs Onishi to eliminate Tetsuo if his powers become uncontrollable. After waking up, Tetsuo manages to escape from the hospital and heads towards the Capsule's gang's hideout located in a ruined building. There, the gang members are recovering from their injuries and spending time with their girlfriends, while discussing the unexpected collaboration between the police and army. Kaori, a shy girl and Tetsuo's girlfriend, expresses her worries about him. All of a sudden, Tetsuo shows up and suggests that they run away together. They take Kaneda's motorcycle and leave, but their departure does not go unnoticed by Kaneda and his companions. Tetsuo and Kaori ride until their motorcycle breaks down, and they are confronted by 3 clowns who threaten to burn their bike and harass Kaori. Kaneda and his gang arrive and help Tetsuo fight off the clowns. Despite their aid, Tetsuo is angry and takes out his frustration on a fallen clown, brutally kicking him. Suddenly, Tetsuo experiences a severe migraine and begins hallucinating that his organs are falling out of his chest while hearing the name Akira. Shortly after, a CRC team arrives in armored vehicles and helicopters, having located Tetsuo through a scanning device. Dr. Onishi has Tetsuo taken back to the hospital, leaving Kaneda and the others to question what is happening. Following an explosion, Kaneda is lured to the scene of chaos where he spots Kei trying to escape with a mustached man named Ryu. The police, closing in, shine their flashlights in their direction. In an attempt to help Kei, Kaneda intervenes and aids her in fleeing while a police officer is shot and killed in the crossfire. Once they reach the resistance headquarters, Kei urgently calls out for Ryu, but Kaneda is suspicious of their intentions and urges Kei to turn herself in for her involvement in the officer's death. However, before they can discuss further, Ryu and other resistance members mistake Kaneda for a spy and lock him up in a room. There, they discuss their previous attempt to kidnap number 26, who turns out to be the first Green Esper child, Takashi. Ryu proposes a new plan to infiltrate a government facility to gather information on the newest Esper subject, Tetsuo. Kaneda, discovered eavesdropping, convinces the group that he and Tetsuo are best friends and that he can be of assistance. Ryu seeks guidance from a wise old man named Nezu, who observes the city's protests and fires from a distance, speaking of Akira as a symbol of hope and change. Tetsuo is suddenly struck by a nightmarish hallucination while recalling his childhood memories. In the meantime, Colonel Shikishima approaches Kyoko, an aged Esper girl with green skin, who is sitting in a crib and being scanned by Onishi. Kyoko has a 25 tattooed on her palm and makes a disturbing prediction. Shikishima then flies out with a group of scientists and puts on parkas before entering a large oval facility. Inside, they activate some of the equipment and a massive door slowly opens, revealing a cavernous chamber with a small red light and a sign that reads Akira 28. Later, Shikishima attends a meeting with the Supreme Executive Council, but he becomes infuriated when they refuse to provide further funding for his project. He confronts them and insists that his work is the responsibility of a soldier before storming out in anger. Council member Nezu smiles smugly at Shikishima's distress. While in his hospital room at the government facility, Tetsuo experiences strange hallucinations featuring a toy rabbit, a teddy bear, a toy car, and milk. Confused by what he's experiencing, Tetsuo steps onto a glass, cutting his foot and startling the 3 green children responsible for the hallucinations, Takashi, Kyoko, and Masaru. Despite their attempts to harm Tetsuo, the children are frightened at the sight of blood and flee. Tetsuo, realizing his newfound powers, chases after them through the hospital, destroying anyone who gets in his way and wreaking havoc with his telekinetic abilities. While the resistance group was infiltrating the facility disguised as electricians, they were discovered in the sewers and a violent chase ensued. During the commotion, Kaneda seized control of a flying platform and rescued Kei, but they were quickly apprehended by soldiers. Kyoko used Kei as a conduit to possess her and lead them to the government nursery where Tetsuo was being held. Kaneda attempted to rescue Tetsuo, but he refused and revealed that he had discovered the location of Akira and wanted to know more about him to relieve his headaches. Tetsuo's powers were stronger than the 3 Espers, and he managed to escape and flew towards the Neo-Tokyo Olympic Stadium, where Akira was being held in cryogenic storage. In his quest to locate and stop Tetsuo, Colonel Shikishima declares martial law in Neo-Tokyo. Tetsuo leaves a path of devastation in his wake as he makes his way to the bar scene at the beginning of the movie, still dressed in his hospital gown. He approaches the bartender who is alone and demands capsules. Yamagata and Kai, 2 members of his old gang, arrive at the bar and discover the bartender dead and the inside of the bar destroyed. Tetsuo sits on a pile of debris and furniture, laughing uncontrollably. Yamagata and Kai are perplexed and disgusted, questioning whether the person before them is really Tetsuo or someone else. Tetsuo speaks to them in an enigmatic manner before intimidating and attacking them. After Kei was left behind and locked in a cell, Kyoko uses her psychic powers to communicate with Kaneda and warn him about Tetsuo's immense power. Kei and Kaneda manage to escape from the cell when the door unlocks. Meanwhile, a government representative arrives to arrest Shikishima, but the colonel's men remain loyal to him and stage a coup d'etat. Shikishima mobilizes his troops and heads to the stadium. Nezu, who was a mole within the government, listens to the report from his home and murders his staff. Ryu later arrives to inform him of the mission's failure to capture Tetsuo, but Nezu shoots him and takes a briefcase full of money before leaving. However, Nezu dies from a heart attack in an alleyway, and Ryu, who followed him, also dies from his injuries. At an urban water-filled ditch, Kai locates Kaneda and Kei and informs them that he and Yamagata discovered Tetsuo, who exhibited unusual behavior and allegedly killed Yamagata. Kaneda becomes infuriated by the news of his friend's demise and pledges to seek revenge. Shortly after, Takashi and Kyoko arrive, and Kei is beckoned to walk over the water before vanishing. Kyoko reveals that Tetsuo's powers have become unstable, and they are attempting to prevent him from causing further destruction. However, Kaneda asserts that Tetsuo is his comrade and that he bears the responsibility of discovering a way to vanquish him. Tetsuo proceeds towards the stadium, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake by killing soldiers and destroying vehicles and helicopters. During this, Kei is possessed by Kyoko again and tries to fight him, but Tetsuo throws her aside. He then unearths Akira's entire cryonic chamber and opens it, only to find dissected body parts in individual canisters. Kaneda arrives at the scene, armed with experimental laser cannon, and confronts Tetsuo. They engage in a fight, but their battle is interrupted by Shikishima, who uses an orbital weapon named Sol to sever Tetsuo's right arm with its beam. This action enrages Tetsuo, who flies into space and tears Sol out of orbit, causing it to disintegrate as it enters the Earth's atmosphere. After destroying Sol, Tetsuo returns to the stadium where Kaori finds him screaming in pain while he uses the remains of Akira to create an artificial, mechanical arm that seems to have a life of its own. Shikishima approaches Tetsuo and explains that the mind-controlling drugs given to him by the Espers were meant to curb his abilities, but they are no longer effective. He pleads with Tetsuo to return to the hospital, but Tetsuo attacks him. In response, Shikishima shoots back, and Kaneda appears to intervene. The trio of Espers arrives at the stadium and tries to communicate with the remains of Akira in the canisters. Tetsuo, unable to control his powers any longer, undergoes a physical transformation. His arm morphs into a terrifying blob that tries to devour the colonel. When Kaneda shoots it, it recedes, but Tetsuo's body mutates into a protoplasmic mass that crushes Kaori to death. Kaneda manages to escape as the Espers awaken Akira, who now appears as a young boy without the need for a physical body. His emergence causes a massive explosion, and Kyoko saves Shikishima just in time. Akira creates a blinding sphere of energy that engulfs the entire city and begins to absorb Tetsuo, who cries out for Kaneda's help. Kaneda, desperate to save his friend, enters the energy sphere, and the Espers follow him, knowing that they might not return. After entering the energy sphere, Kaneda witnesses Tetsuo and Akira's childhood memories, including how much Tetsuo trusted him in the Espers' initial study just before the destruction of Tokyo. The Espers inform Tetsuo that Akira is sending him to a safe place as Kaneda is ejected from the sphere moments before it explodes. The blast devastates Neo-Tokyo, creating a gaping hole that quickly fills with water from the sea. Dr. Onishi perishes as his laboratory collapses. Kaneda regains consciousness and reunites with Kei and Kai. They depart on their damaged motorcycles to begin a new life. In another place, a burst of cosmic energy breaks through the darkness and a voice declares, "I am Tetsuo." With complete mastery over his abilities, he sets in motion the creation of a new universe. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this animated movie and found it entertaining. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel for more animated movies like this. I put a lot of effort into creating these animations, so your support means a lot to me. If you have any feedback or suggestions for future animations, please leave a comment below. Once again, thank you for watching and I look forward to sharing more animated movies with you soon.